Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Worth Fighting For. I'm Brian. I'm joined, as always, by Tamur. Tamur, how you doing?
Hey, Brian, doing well. Coming off of a great episode of The Last of Us and an incredibly confusing and scary episode of The Rehearsal.
Yes, yes. Big day for any Josh Peck haters. He got exploded by a grenade. That was very fun.
Yeah,
Very fun to see him in the cold open. But when they cast somebody who's like somewhat well known in a show like this, you're like, all right, well, he's gonna die
yeah,
uh, pretty soon. But good for him. He's had a bit of a run. Oppenheimer and now The Last of Us, pretty good.
yeah. Whenever I see him on screen, and I was like, "What the fuck?" As soon as I saw him, he doesn't. For me, he doesn't blend into the character. Maybe
It's
if it was
tough.
like,
Yeah.
maybe it was like he was the main character in something, I could kind of like suspend my disbelief. But whenever I see Josh Peck, it's Josh Peck from Drake and Josh, you know. But
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the edits, the
yeah,
like right when it explodes, like start the theme song of Drake and Josh. Stuff like that.
yeah. Which I mean, listen, like he seems like a chill dude, but he's really well cast in this. You need someone who's like immediately unlikable and
So
like
unlikable.
and so cocky and just like you're not going to get attached, and then we get a cut to Jeffrey Wright being like actually serious and like someone you are more aligned with as an audience member, super badass. And we find that he's this former Fedra person, as we quickly find out.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, we didn't know from the game that he was former Fedra. That was kind of
no.
interesting to find out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so Jeffrey Wright, he also played Isaac in the games, and as we've kind of discussed in previous episodes, he was really underutilized. He's such an
Yeah.
incredible actor, and it was awesome to have him voice this character in the game. So it's really cool to see him, in these other instances where you get more backstory for this character who really is multi-layered. You get that sense in the game, but here you actually see it, which is awesome.
Yeah, talk about like having commanding screen presence. Like the second it panned over to him, like the
Yeah.
whole tone of the scene immediately just changed.
Completely. Yeah, his voice, his face, yeah, just everything about it. And he picks up this kind of rookie, gives him a second chance.
Mhm.
Is that a character from the game? I was trying to
I don't
to
think so.
make that
I think this
connection.
is just a show only character.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I was trying to remember. But yeah, I liked that. I liked how he wasn't just completely like, and he gives him that option. It's like, you can die with them if you want, or you can join me and see what this is all about. Um,
Yeah, not much of a choice, but a choice.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but
no, I like that too. Like you see all the other guys are super into the story. He's like not as into it. And Isaac's like, all right, well, I'll give this guy a shot and we'll see. And then we see later in the episode that he's pretty fully bought into Isaac's way of thinking and all
yeah,
of that. So
yeah, yeah. So the second scene we get with Isaac is this, really brutal torture scene. I mean, it's even for HBO. I thought this was really really gruesome. Even
yeah.
more so than perhaps like everything in the game. I mean, these games are very, very violent, but this was like
Yeah.
this was a different level. Just the whole saucepan monologue, and then kind of the reveal of this poor man. Well, I guess we don't really know who he is, but in this instance, he's really the underdog, and yeah, it's tough to watch, but it's incredible. The performances are incredible, and the set pieces and everything, and yeah,
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 he's so good. And like I love the introduction, like the reintroduction of him where you're like, okay, he did like this fucked up thing. And then you see him again, and you're like, okay, he seems like pretty normal telling somebody about like the pot. And then it's like, oh no, there's a naked guy chained to the wall. He's about to
yeah,
burn them. Like he's lost it.
yeah. No, the filmmakers are doing a great job, like even giving people who have played the games some surprises. And I think this is one
Yeah.
instance where it's like, I knew he was probably talking to someone. He's probably torturing
Yeah.
someone. I've seen enough, movies and TV shows where like the baddie gets a monologue in, and it's like kind of lighthearted. It's, like the Joker esque or something. And so I knew there was probably going to be someone on the other end of that. I did
Yeah,
not think it was going to look like that. It
yeah,
was really shocking and in a good way. Um,
yeah. And I'll give him this. Look, he's torturing the guy. Not good. But the second he realizes that, okay, the torture's not going to get me anywhere, he just kills him. He doesn't keep torturing him. You
yeah,
know,
right,
it's not about the torture. It's about trying to get the information he wants. And when
right,
he's like, okay, there's like this guy puts his hand out again, he's like, all right, well, fuck it
yeah,
then.
yeah. And maybe we can talk a little bit more about that dynamic. Toward the end of our podcast, where we'll kind of go into more
Hmm.
of the spoilery content. Um,
Yeah, well,
and
because for now, the Seraphites are really being built up as like kind of sympathetic, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly. We got an introduction in the previous episode with this sort of almost father-daughter dynamic, and
mhm.
these same like peaceful people walking through the woods, and then they get slaughtered, and yeah, it really is kind of setting them up, and I think that's an interesting concept given where I think we know these seasons are going to
and
go.
and we get a glimpse of it in the end of this episode of like,
Right.
oh, okay, maybe this group is like kind of hardcore, but
Yeah.
like up until this point, like so far, it's like, oh, like if I didn't play the game, I'd be like, why are these so, hell bent on slaughtering these people,
Yeah, and I think it's also kind of built into us, maybe as like Americans watching this, of just like, okay, this is like these like hippie-ish, like people who live off the
right?
woods and seem to
Yeah.
like be like peaceful, and then like the military-esque people who are like torturing civilians for information, and yeah, so it really is. But I think we'll see that it's much more complicated than that.
No, yeah, definitely. And like, I love the expansion of stuff that they didn't get to do in the game. And I think that's like one of the best uses of the television format is like allowing us to be away from Ellie. And, now we have these scenes with Isaac, that's not in the game because he's not a POV character, but, playing with the format that we have, it's really good.
Oh yeah, completely, completely. Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about the comparison between the game and the show, and they've added a lot, but they've also taken some stuff out. I think this episode is a great example of that, where we join Ellie and Dina, and we kind of jump right to the music store, which for me feels premature actually, because I feel like
Mhm.
when you're at this point in the game, um, you've already gone through some hell, and you've kind of like there's some atrocious stuff, and the game is fairly open world, so like it depends on how much you want to do, but there's
Right.
combat scenarios you've already kind of like seen some things, and so this scene in the game, which is it's basically the same. It's Take On Me by Aha, played acoustically in the show very ably by Ellie. I will say, I was just like, man, this is like perfectly played. I kind of wish they made it a little more, I don't know, rough around the edges. But anyways,
Ellie's been working on it. She was like, "This is gonna
yeah,
be my ace in the hole." Uh, with Tina.
right, yeah, it's just like,
Oh, weird. There's a
do it.
guitar. That's crazy.
It's crazy. It just starts.
Singing like perfectly and playing perfectly.
Yeah. But yeah, so I really think this scene would have hit harder if it was kind of held off for a little bit. They had already
Mm,
kind of, we finally see them jumping ahead a little bit. They end up killing two WLF members, and I mean that happens a lot in the game. This isn't just one isolated incident. I'm sure we'll see more of it, but this scene is so significant and really, honestly, very important to a lot of The Last of Us fans, because it really is a respite from a really gruesome world, the world that they live in this, Seattle at war, and there's not a lot of light in the darkness, but this scene is just like a beautiful respite. Whereas I
mm.
think in the show, it's I think it's coming a little bit too early. Wonder what you thought about that.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, it's definitely more of a breather in the game where you're like, oh, this is crazy. Now we're gonna have this moment. It's also a little different where Ellie and Dina have already hooked up in the game,
Right.
which kind of made them remix a lot of stuff for this. Whereas this felt like Ellie and Dina, this was like the moment for Dina where Dina like was fully ready to accept that she like was really into Ellie, versus the game where it's like she's already into Ellie, and then
Right.
this is just like another part. But yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think we're
Reminds me of,
continuing. What was
oh,
that?
sorry. I was just gonna say it kind of reminds me of. I know you've read The Road, right? Cormac
Mm,
McCarthy. We both watched the movie. It kind of reminds me of similar worlds, end of the world type places. In the book, there's a scene later where the main character and his son discover like this stash of like Coca-Cola, and it's
oh
really
yeah, yeah.
this like incredible moment of just like, wow, the world has ended. They've gone through so much shit, and then like his son gets to try Coca-Cola for the first time, and it hits so hard because of it's kind of like 2/3 into the book. It's a very dark, very real and raw book.
So so dark.
It's very depressing. And the movie is gets definitely gets the tone right, but you can't the payoff doesn't it doesn't pay off when you are only working with like an hour and a half, you
Hmm.
know. And that's kind of how I felt with this. It's like I think it needed more foundation for it to really hit hard.
Hmm.
But yeah, like you said, I mean, in the game, Ellie and Dina, they're really kind of established, and this episode, minus Isaac's scenes, it's really about Ellie and Dina and kind of getting them together to that point where they already are in the game. I mean, they're still kind of like early stages even at the end of this. Um, but yeah, I mean that's really what I wanted to talk to you about. Mostly was like, is this is this working for you, as opposed to the game where you don't really need that. Yeah, the setup. You kind of already have it, and you're focused on like the revenge mission.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one, the limited number of episodes they have for the season, and two, like I guess the unwillingness to include like more infected, like when Ellie drops the hatch on the tank, like in the game, you're getting swarmed if you do something like that 100%. But like this version of the Last of Us world is very empty compared to the
Mm-hmm.
game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, definitely.
So, so like the action isn't as constant, and maybe that's just like it's a game. It has to be action packed. Like, why else would you play if it wasn't action packed? Which I definitely do get. But yeah, it does make for weird moments like this where it's like you have to have this because it's so iconic in the game. At least I feel like it is. And then because there's not as many engagements, it doesn't hit the same way as the game. I definitely get where you're coming from there.
Right. Right. So yeah. So I'm kind of like, yeah. I'm kind of torn because I think a lot of the the buildup of this relationship between Ellie and Dina, it kind of seems, I don't know. I think even if I hadn't played the games, it kind of would have seemed predictable. and I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
and I personally don't think that these scenes are like working particularly well. Like, I don't know. There's something about like you know them like sleeping. I guess I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but them sleeping together in the lobby, like on the middle of the floor. This to me, that's just like, why would you do that when you haven't explored this building fully? At least we haven't seen that. No
This is
cushions.
like no infected in the this version.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, exactly. And even they have these like there's like literally multiple couches around. Like, why don't they sleep on the couches?
No.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
they just sleep in the middle of the lobby. And I mean, even some of like I don't know, the dialogue is just kind of not really feeling like, I don't know. It's something about it's not really hitting to me. For me, it kind of just feels a little bit like written for television or something. And like there was a moment particularly this was a big reveal. Seeing Dina, admit that she's pregnant, which us who played the games, we knew. I kind of feel like people who um, are watching this for the first time didn't really have a sense of that. It wasn't obvious, besides like her, vomiting a few times and kind of having that morning sickness effect. Um, but just the whole like, I kind of like, I put it on like a chart of like, okay, so like she's like terrified because Ellie might be infected, and then they go from that to like really horny and just like, okay, oh, now she's bisexual. Okay, for me that like just did not compute. And then it's like, okay, now let's just like fall asleep in the middle of the lobby on the ground in this like uncomfortable position and like wake up. And it, I don't know, something about it just felt like um weirdly fake. I'm curious what you thought, but yeah, it wasn't really like working for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need just to up the stakes, I guess. Make Dina and Ellie's relationship feel more earned, or I guess like led up to than it
Mm-hmm.
did in the game. Granted, in the game you play a little bit more. Um, what was like 2 episodes is like a few more hours in the game of
Mm-hmm.
getting to know Dina and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine for television. Like I think if there was a guy involved, I would probably be the same. Like, yeah, this would probably happen. Like, I know an uncomfortable floor is not stopping a guy in that instance. So I would assume it's similar for women. Granted, I've never been a woman, so I don't know exactly like, but like
Yeah.
I know in a guy's mindset, it's like, yeah, okay, this is happening now. This is gonna happen. You know what I mean?
I No, I still don't. I don't. I'm still just
So it's
I'm
like
still
I would
just
have at least needed to find a couch or
yeah, no,
a bed, something else.
yeah, no, and yeah, the comfort is like a big factor, but I think it's also like terrified Ellie's might be infected, to hey, I'm pregnant, to hey, I'm horny, let's just like hook up on
Mhm.
the floor, hey, I'm bisexual. It was just like it was so much within the span of, and it's in the middle of this lobby. I think if like it would have at least helped, I think, if they were like in the projector room or something.
Someone more guarded.
Yeah, yeah, and because we just went through this whole scene of the subway and the television studio, which I think those scenes were just crazy good and just very like on the edge of your seat. I mean, we've been asking for more infected for the last
Mm.
few episodes, and at least through season one, and we're really getting that. It seems like every episode is really packing that punch, and it worked so well. And to me, like coming off of that like anxiety and kind of like adrenaline kick, I'm like, oh no, okay, they're gonna like hook up in the middle of this lobby when
Yeah,
like
I mean it's
a zombie
adrenaline.
or
They got the
someone could
blood
come and
pumping.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
It didn't bother me so much. I mean the potential infection's one thing, I guess. I guess at that point it's like long enough to where Dina's comfortable, like being like, okay, maybe Ellie is really
Right.
immune. Um,
Hmm.
I guess let's talk about that whole sequence leading up to it
Yeah.
with the TV station. I think recreated really well.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, it was
I
really
just
cool.
played in part two. They released kind of like a rogue like uh thing where you just like try to survive for various rounds in different locations in the game. And I just played recently that, and one of the locations is the TV studio. So it's
Hmm.
pretty fresh in my mind, and it seemed like really faithfully recreated
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think like it's kind of funny because I remember playing the games when we both played it like day one as soon as The Last of Us
Yeah,
Part Two
as
came
soon
out,
as it came out.
and you were definitely ahead of me because I remember like I got to this point in the game, which feels very far in. I think this must have been like a good 8 or 9 hours.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah, and it
lot.
depends like how long you take in day one, where
Yeah.
you can do so much and like look over everything.
Exactly, and I'm a completionist, especially when
Right.
games that I really love. So this one, I was trying to do every single thing. So I get to this point, and keep in mind the first game is a good 15 hours if you're just kind of
Yeah,
going through the story. So I'm like texting you, and I'm like, oh, I'm at the TV station. I must be like pretty close to like the end.
yeah.
I remember you
No,
just like, no, oh hell no, because I think you had already
I
gotten
had
past.
already gotten to Abby's part,
Yeah,
so like, because I thought I was close to the end, which is like another half, or maybe
right,
like 2/3, because Ellie has 3 days, right? So it's
right,
like 2/3, and then I also played like another day of Abby. It's like, no, this game's so long compared to the
yeah,
first.
oh yeah,
Because yeah,
completely,
when I get to the end of day 3 in Seattle, I was like, well, this is like the end of the game, obviously. Then
right.
it's like, no, we have a entire other game in this,
Yeah, it's like
which is
all in
so
all like
crazy.
a 35-hour game, which I was totally on board for. I played it for a straight week and was completely happy to do that. But yeah, so it's funny seeing this in episode 4, knowing that we're getting a season 3 after this, and it feels so early to me, but it's also like, yeah, it is actually relatively early in the game. And but yeah, that was it. Was the set was it was perfect, and just the build up, just that continual. They're running from the WLF, and then they go into the subway, and it's the trouble's not over. Dina's counting on her hands, like how many infected, and she just realizes
Yeah.
her hands like shaking. It's like, okay, there's more than 5. There's more. It's like this is a full on horde. That was just it was so great, and then they're trying to escape, and it was full adrenaline. I was totally into it.
It's so fun because in the game, if you have like 5 WLF members, you're like, all right, that's fine. I
Yeah,
can take them. But
totally.
it's very different in the show where like I was like, oh man, this is a bad situation to be in.
Right.
Like,
It's true. It's funny how that it hits totally differently because they're actual people. It's like, okay, these are fully grown men with like bulletproof vests and machine guns, and they're just two like teenage girls. And whereas in the game, it's always just like, all right, I played the first game. I can take out all
yeah,
these guys easy. And then you kind of just like you kill them all, and then loot like for ammo and stuff like that, and you move on, kind of take it at
right.
your own pace. Whereas this was like, okay, Ellie might have to kill some people just to escape, and that's really the first instance we see her doing that.
Yeah. So it was cool. The introduction of what the stir fights are capable of was very cool. I
Hmm.
remember in the game being like, what the fuck? Like, this is so dark. Um,
Hmm.
I think that's really like the first taste you get of the Seraphites, outside of maybe some like stuff that you pick up in letters and stuff mentioning them, but until you see them like having hanged like 5 people and disemboweled them, you're like, oh, all right. Like there's this group.
Exactly, the blood on the walls, the kind of almost there's something like almost like old, or what's the word for it? Like almost like ancient about it. Like it's like
Yeah.
this very like visceral kind of philosophy that they have, just like returning to the earth. And it's the complete opposite of like the WF, who are living in guns, and they're trying to fight the infected that way. And yeah, it's awesome to kind of get hints of that. And have they whistled? I guess they whistled the last episode, right? That's
Yeah.
like that's such like an important thing in the game, just in terms of mechanics of like, where are your enemies? How do you see them if you're trying to hide? Because they're it's kind of their thing is like they're hiding in the woods, they're whistling to each other. And I think yeah, we'll probably see more of that soon. But it's just like such a crazy crazy thing that really sticks out is like, yeah, whistling across like
Yeah.
the woods and stuff.
And then the whole tunnel sequence is really great.
Mhm.
Very scary in the game, and then also like really well represented here on the show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did want to ask you, like I said earlier, we're kind of getting a lot of zombies this season, which is great.
Mhm.
It's what we were asking for last season. But is it like, what do you think about them doing uh, these hordes like basically every episode? Would it be
Yeah,
more?
it's definitely interesting, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
in the game, they're like more spread out.
Hmm.
You might have 5 enemies in a building, you know, But it really seems like in this world, this version of The Last of Us, the group up way more than they do in the games.
Yeah, and maybe it's like maybe it has something to do with kind of the amount of time that's lapsed since the beginning of kind of the breakout, and over time maybe they just kind of like group up and then they communicate through these underground spores, which we don't have in the game. That's not a mechanic in the game. So yeah, it is kind of interesting. I mean, in the game, it's like when you face off against like four infected, say, in one area, that's a real challenge. Like how do you be silent? How do you do this? How do you sneak? And if you try to go in charging, like how do you take on four of them running at you?
Yeah.
We haven't quite seen that yet. We did get, of course, in like what was it, episode one, where Ellie and Dina, um, kind of team up against one, and then we got the new like intelligent variant, which that really hasn't come into fruition yet. I'm curious how they're gonna do that. If that's only going to pay off. Well, I don't want to get into spoilers yet, but for one particular scene later on, like I don't know if they're just going to kind of that was a setup just for one thing, or what, or if they're actually going to kind of work with that more. But yeah,
Yeah. No, it's an interesting way to do it. It definitely kind of like I guess makes sense as to why Joel was like in the first season sleeping on the ground, like in the forest and stuff, because like, oh, in this world, if they're infected around, because there's a lot, you know.
hmm hmm
Whereas like in the game, it's like, if you ever watch The Walking Dead, like if any of those characters are walking through the forest, you'll see like three zombies just like walking
right.
around, because they do group up in The Walking Dead, but they don't have a hive mind telling them to group up. It's more that they just happen upon other ones and they just like walk together, you know.
Yeah, no, they definitely don't evolve and kind of gain that level of intelligence or hive mindedness. But yeah, I mean they're a real threat in the Last of Us, and it's like extra scary. I kind of want to see them tackle like just killing off like five of them, and in like a smaller kind of on a smaller scale in some upcoming episodes. But yeah, I mean it one of the big things that I took away from this episode honestly was I wish the first season was more like this.
Mhm.
We got like everything. We got like the more interpersonal relationships. We got some badass fight scenes between human on human, let's say, and then
Mhm.
we got infected, and it was so epic. And I kind of wish we had those, especially the infected scenes in the first season. But it's really working well in this second season.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so I thought very interesting adaptation of the moment in the game where because there are spores, they have to wear the gas masks and Dina and Ellie fall through the floor and Ellie's gas mask breaks and
Right.
Dina like freaks out and that's when she finds out, no, I'm immune, like it's fine, don't worry.
Right.
Where this is like she gets bit right in front of Dina and then you have like a solid like couple of minutes where Dina's like, what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
she got bit, I'm gonna have to like kill her, you know?
Yeah. And I did think it was a little. See, I think this is really for me, like where the episode falls off is like really at that moment, because I really think why wouldn't Ellie, say something right away? It's almost like she forgets
Yeah. But
that she's
Dina
immune,
doesn't
and
know.
Dina
Yeah.
doesn't know. And I'm like, she's about to kill you. She could shoot you in the back of the head. How did this not cross your mind sooner? She's like, wait, I'm actually immune. So
Yeah,
yeah,
in
it's
the
kind of
game it's very in the moment because
right.
Dina's like panicking and like like, oh, take
Yeah,
my
they're on the
mask,
run.
like, and she's like, no, it's fine, it's fine.
Right, exactly. And you're still basically on the run at that point.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, of course, we don't have gas masks in the show, so they couldn't do it exactly the same way. And I think that the mechanic of like the the turnstile having her get bit, I do think that works. I think it was just kind of everything that the like the writing of everything that happens after that for me was just like not not gelling. But
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, but now Dina knows she's immune,
Hmm.
Huge cheat code in the apocalypse to be immune like this,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Like,
she just uses it as like another defense, you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
even when that stalker was biting her, like, well, it's biting her, it's not really paying attention to what Ellie's doing, and she's able to get the upper hand, you know.
Right, right. Oh yeah, it's a huge advantage. Here's my question: if you were in those shoes, would you hook up with someone who is immune, technically immune? Because like you know how this spreads. Like if they make out with you or something, like are you gonna get infected? Are you like She's like touching
It's a
she's
great
touching
point.
like the bite, and I'm just like Dina, what the fuck are you? You don't know how this like how deep this could go.
Yeah, that's actually a minor thing in the game in Ellie's diary where she was like unsure
Oh
if,
yeah,
you know, and like her first girlfriend she like told, and then she figured out like, okay, like I can kiss people, like it's fine, I'm not infecting people.
right.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe not right away.
Yeah, no, I'm like I'm a germaphobe, so I would just write. I would just be like, yeah, I don't know, like,
And have you seen? Remember in the first season when the infected like kisses Tess before she blows up?
right,
It's
yeah,
like, what
yeah,
if you've seen that? It's like, well, now I'm not sure because I
right,
know that they also want to kiss
right.
people.
Yeah, he just like opens her mouth and there's like little things, and it's like, no, no, don't worry, I'm immune, it's all good.
Yeah, so
But
it's tough.
I love that scene, by the way, which is it's so weird and not not
So
at all in
weird.
the
Yeah,
game, but like it's just like such a great improvement. But anyway,
yeah. So it's, you know, I'd be more hesitant, I think, than Dina. Um, I did like, you know, Ellie being like, I'm gonna be a daddy. That was funny. But
yeah.
I did prefer in the game when they had already slept together. So when Dina tells her, she's like, don't worry, it's not yours. Like that was very funny.
Oh yeah, it's a great line. Yeah, yeah,
Um we kind of got a little bit of that of like, it's like, you know, this is something for us, like a new thing for us and Jesse, I guess. It is Jesse's, right? She's like very offended by that.
right, right.
Um So I mean, you know, it's a remix, but yeah, I think I would be hesitant to hop into bed with somebody who got bitten, even if they're like, I'm immune.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I wouldn't even trust them. I'd be like, it's just very delayed. Like I don't know. I'm just like that kind of paranoid person.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
You
Yeah,
know, there's always the trope of like zombie movies where, you know, there's someone bitten and they don't tell anyone, you
yeah.
know.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's there's always different kind of like ways of being infected because zombie movies as a genre and even TV shows, you kind of always have to like push the envelope and kind of invent something new. I think back to like 28 Days Later, where like the bird is eating an eyeball or something of the infected, and a little droplet of blood gets in
Drop,
the guy's
yeah.
eye, and that's enough to kind of to get him infected. Which, watching that for the first time when I was a kid, I was like, this is so genius. Like, you just always associate, they bite them and
Yeah.
they're infected, and this is just it was a new form. And I think the really good shows and movies, they always kind of like push that further and do something new with it.
Yeah. Well, it was
So
really crazy. Well, yeah, the blood is very crazy. Also in that movie where they'll like tackle people and just like vomit blood into their
right,
face.
yeah,
It's like there's no escape from
yeah,
that. If
yeah,
a
exactly.
little drop of blood can turn you, like them vomiting on you,
Yeah,
it's
you're
just
fucked.
it's over.
It's eyes closed, like no, please.
Yeah. I love that movie. You know,
Yeah,
I'm so excited for 28 years later. Like
yeah,
when that trailer came out for 28 years later, I watched it maybe like 40, 50 times. Like it's so good.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can't
Yeah,
wait.
I'm stoked. Yeah, same.
But yeah, no, yeah, it's interesting. I think that's basically it, right? For this, we can probably get into spoilers now.
Yeah, yeah. Jump into spoilers.
All right. So if you don't want to hear that, thank you so much for checking this out. Make sure you come back next week. We really appreciate you. And now into spoilers. So what are you thinking, Tamur?
So, I mean, like I said, I think I'm kind of just experiencing like whiplash right now, just kind of going from the game, what happens in the game, and then like, what they're changing in the show, and how that kind of changes things.
Hmm.
It does feel like day one in the game is more significant. We were kind of talking about this before we started recording. We're going to get day two. We're going to get get these other days, and it just feels like these days are really defined by like certain things. Um, but now we're on day two. I don't know if they even had a title card for that, which the title cards feel very like significant, at least in the game. Like when Dina and Ellie wake up, I don't remember if there was like a title card. Do you?
I don't think there was in this episode.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Um, let
But
me look
either
up.
way,
Just look up episode titles for this season because this one was definitely called Day One.
was it okay?
Um, so it doesn't have it on IMDb, but I wouldn't be surprised if the next episode's Day Two. You know,
Right. They start from day two. Yeah, Ellie day two or something. But yeah, as we know in the game, it's kind of like Ellie day one, two, three, and then Abby day one, two, three, and then where they converge. Yeah. What did you think about like getting to the now I'm blanking on the name. What's the name of
theater.
the theater? I forget what it's called. The
Oh, I
Atlantic or
don't remember
something.
what the name of the theater
Okay.
is. So just the theater.
Yeah, the theater. But yeah, it's such a like an important place in the game. So seeing it, when they finally arrive, it was like, especially after that intense scene, I'm just like, okay, things are gonna
The
chill
wiki
off.
says it's the Pinnacle Theater.
Pinnacle. Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought it was more like I don't know, the Atlantic or something general. But anyway, um, yeah. So anyway, I'm kind of like, what are they gonna change? What are they going to change next? That's like when are they going to introduce Tommy? We know he's going to kind of catch up with them. When are they going to introduce?
Apparently, it's based on the Paramount Theater in real
Oh,
life.
where's that? That's in
In
Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah, it's
Oh,
based on the Paramount Theater.
right, right. So
Sorry.
no, it's all good. It's gonna. I think it's gonna be cool. They kind of at the end they really set up that like Seattle is at war. This is not just. It's kind of mirroring like um, Abby going to Jackson and just her teammates realizing like, yeah, no, this is not just going to be a couple people camping out. Like this is a real
Yeah.
society, and it's similar here, and they've really like upped the stakes, which is cool. As to what comes next, I'm trying to remember what comes immediately after this in the game. I know there's like a lot of violence and kind of hunting down WLF, but yeah, I'm trying to remember what happens right after this.
After this, we got the Hillcrest neighborhood, which is pretty
Right,
interesting.
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
Um, strings. We get some flashback stuff.
right.
Ellie
Yeah,
runs into Seraphites for the first time, and then she gets to St. Mary's Hospital, and she kills Nora and all that.
right, right. And Tommy meets up with Tommy, kind of like on the way, and yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see kind of when they insert that flashback. I do think it's similar to like the guitar thing, where it's like you kind of need to earn that, and if they have it like right away next episode, I don't know if it's going to be fully earned. I think you need to give people space away from Joel and then kind of bring him back in this like triumphant, like very sweet flashback, which I know a lot of people on Reddit are like really eager for.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the flashback involving Eugene is going to play out. We've been teased it, but now I feel like we're getting so far away to like where's this going to come back into the fold?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe next episode. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we're 4 episodes in. Is it confirmed that it's a 10 season or 10 episode season?
No, it's only 7.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So in that case, I mean, I don't know. I almost don't want them to waste
I know,
waste
right?
quote unquote, but spend an entire episode focusing on Eugene. I don't know, but I mean,
Yeah,
the
it works a
show's
little better in The Walking Dead when there are 16 episode seasons. And it's like
right.
you can burn one a season on like a side character's backstory.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But this is like this precious time, and I mean, they really do go at a breakneck speed in this series. But yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see it next week. That would be kind of nice. I kind of would like a full episode of Eugene and more backstory. And but again, it's like, how are you going to do that if if Joel's in the flashback scenes with Eugene? Like that's I think going to kind of cheapen the flashback scene with the space flight
Mm.
whatever, like zoo, or they're like at a museum or something,
Yeah, Space
right?
Museum
Yeah, space
thing.
museum. So it's tricky. Like where do you place that in? And I think it would have to come after that. Maybe like maybe you continue with Ellie and Dina for a little while longer, and then get a flashback toward like the middle of the next episode or like the end. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It is weird to not have Tommy involved here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess we'll see. Hopefully he'll show up sooner than later. Or at
Was
least we'll
he?
get like him going to Seattle.
Yeah, and there's been no like sign of him yet. In the game, you really are following his trail of blood,
Yeah.
like quite literally. And so, yeah, having no sign of him. That's the other thing. Um, similarly, I think revealing Tommy would definitely cheapen revealing Dina's
Jesse.
boyfriend. Yeah, Jesse. Like
Yeah.
having that scene twice of just like, hey, I didn't want to let you go at it alone. Like, having that twice is really not going to gel. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Maybe they cut one. Maybe I don't know, but yeah,
How can they? I feel like they both need to be there. They'll
yeah,
probably go together and just come
yeah. Maybe they're
together.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. Yeah, but
But
yeah, I think even at this point in the game, Shimmer is you lose Shimmer.
Ed, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
pretty quickly. But
Right,
Shimmer alive, chilling in the music store.
right.
Shimmer survives, maybe.
Yeah, Shimmer's looking after the guitar, which, by the way, I'm like, fucking Ellie, like, why would you take this out? This guitar's been you know, in perfect condition for like over 20 years. No, like
Yeah.
close to like 30 years. And you just like leave it there, like hanging out. It's like, put it back
Put
or
it back
take
in
it
the
with you.
case.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's so annoying. I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty shot, but like, what the fuck? Maybe she's
Yeah.
just like a teenager. She's not thinking about it. I'm just like,
Right. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I really enjoyed after Joel died in the show, there were so many edits of Tommy like in like the dead bodies, like Abby doesn't know what's coming for her. And then like, in the newer version of or in the new game mode that I was telling you about for The Last of Us Part 2, Tommy's one of the playable characters. So it's like editing in like just him like destroying people like as a
fucking
playable
funny.
character.
I like
And calling him the ghost of Seattle.
that.
I mean, and obviously it's not all him because the Seraphites are also killing WLF members, but
Right.
that scene as Abby when you like walk in to the morgue and it's just like so many dead bodies.
Right.
It's like between Ellie, Tommy, and the Seraphites, like the wolves are getting fucked up.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, that just reminded me of a line which I don't think they even remotely mention in the games. But when Isaac is torturing the Seraphite, he's kind of like saying like, yeah, people leave WLF to come to us all the time. Like they do not
Yeah.
do the reverse, which is such an interesting line, and I don't think we got any of that in the game. Like people leaving
Yeah.
WLF to join Seraphites. Yeah, yeah, that was interesting.
Also, the game does the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. So you play as Ellie and you kill a lot of people before that scene with Abby. And when you go to the morgue, someone's like, Abby, you need to see this. And like, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be Nora, because you killed Nora
Right.
like pretty recently, and it's just a character you've never seen before.
Um,
I
like
just
the
remember being
intentions
like,
are funny.
I have no idea who this is. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like a college humor sketch or something. It's like you
Yeah.
have to see this. Just prepare
Mhm.
yourself. Like grab a tissue. Just not, I don't know this guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's Phil?
No,
Nope,
he's
nope.
that he was one of us. Yeah, it's Bill. Of course, Bill.
Bill, yeah,
Hmm.
Bill.
Maybe we
Yeah.
should make that as a sketch.
Yeah. Uh,
And he's new. He's been here 3 years. He's been here 3 years, like I said. Well, at least he kept to himself. So he's a member of our council. Wow, really? I'm also on that. I don't. Okay. Oh man, but
yeah.
yeah, I just love that moment so much because I was like, was this like from a different draft of the
Right.
like game, and they
Yeah,
like
was this
forgot?
character? He's like an actor who was like cast in something and then just gets completely cut out of it, but it's
Yeah.
except for the scene, the one shot where he's like dead. It's like telling his whole family, like, you gotta watch. I'm in the new season of The Last of Us. I'm like, I'm integral. I have all these lines, and then just every time he gets on screen, they like he's like about to talk, and then they cut away,
Yeah, right.
and then you finally see him later. He's like dead.
Oh man, but yeah, just so good. But yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the season. I'm a little bit like, okay, there's a lot of stuff they need to incorporate that they haven't set up the same way, so I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, and I'm hard on the showrunners, with kind of like how I'm reframing it in my mind and how it could kind of be better. But I'm also just I'm really enjoying the ride, and especially it just visually, like you said, like everything. The TV station, it looks so much like the game. Like I think they're really pulling off everything that just these huge set pieces, like the subway and everything. It's like
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. And like I said earlier, like I wish the first season was like that more, where it wasn't just
yeah,
felt like we were outside in Canada, fucking in the woods or whatever. And whereas this season it's really amazing. And yeah, I might sound harsh, but I really am enjoying it.
yeah. No, the production value is great, and
Mhm.
I think in the last episode I said like it makes me wonder, like in the alternate universe, if HBO had picked up The Walking Dead, like what the production value for The Walking Dead could have been. Because AMC did a good job, but like there were definitely times where you're like, okay, this is definitely budget reasons why
Oh,
like the whole of season 2 is on the farm,
oh
you
yeah,
know?
totally. Yeah, and just like a lot, like every time you see Norman Reedus, he's just like in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
nothing like distinctive around, and
They
I mean,
just stayed in Atlanta even when they like went to Virginia, and like the woods are exactly the same.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've talked about this so many times. We don't have to get really deep into it, but Fear the Walking Dead, which we both
That's
love.
why it's so refreshing
Oh yeah, like
because it's so
cinematography
different.
is so distinctive, and like L.A. and Mexico, and that was especially the first like 2-3 seasons were just like incredible. And I wish kind of
Yeah.
I think if The Walking Dead was closer to that, I would have actually enjoyed it and kept with it instead of like
Mm.
kind of stopping. But yeah,
Yeah. By the end of the Fear the Walking Dead, it had kind of like become just The Walking Dead also.
yeah, that's why I stopped with that one too. But I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
like
because I could have spent 10 seasons in Mexico with all like the
oh
different
yeah,
locations and stuff they had
yeah,
in
like
the first
like
3 seasons. Like
yeah.
you said, it was just so distinct.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I loved the characters. I loved like kind of like getting into like how do like gangs, like adapt to like the end of the world. Like they're kind of like
Yeah.
almost like they're like become like the good guys taking care of people and stuff like that. It was just so interesting and fresh. And but I'm a diehard fan of the comics. Like if
Yeah.
they wanted to reboot The Walking Dead from scratch and just kind of like you said, like give it a huge budget, make it almost like HBO friendly, and really just like follow the comics like very strictly, and maybe even like condense it, I would be like totally in favor of that. I would not complain. Even though I like I like Norman Reedus and like love
Yeah.
the cast and stuff.
Well, Andrew Lincoln was really great as
Yeah,
Rick.
Andrew
Like,
Lincoln's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
so
Anyways, they're filming the newest show in Worcester. which is cool.
Really? What's
Yeah,
the?
they're doubling it for New York, so like that, like more downtown area of Worcester that does kind of look like New York.
Oh, this is like Negan and Maggie. Is that what it
Yeah,
is? Okay, gotcha. Yeah, maybe I'll watch it then.
yeah. Jenny's sister applied to be a zombie extra, but she didn't end up getting
Oh,
called.
damn. Yeah.
But she loves The Walking Dead, so she was like really like, oh, I want this would be like so cool. So
Nice.
maybe next time they film.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is fun. Next week, excited. Did you watch the trailer for next week's episode?
No, I don't watch the trailers. Even though, I mean, I know what's going to happen in terms of the game, but yeah, I'm just like not a trailer person. But
Yeah, so we'll talk about that next week then
all right.
when we watch it. So yeah, other than that, check out the rehearsal, everybody. It's the most insane shit I've ever
Yeah.
seen. Nathan Fielder's a genius,
Yeah.
and I just love it. I need it to go on forever.
I know he's really a mad genius, and I know his style at this point, but I don't know where it's going, and which is
No,
such like a hard thing to pull off. Where it's like, yeah,
I just love to be a fly on the wall of like the meetings where he's like, so I need to dress up like a giant baby, and I need a room that would make me feel like a giant baby or like a regular baby.
yeah,
And we need puppets of parents that are giant to make me feel like a baby.
yeah,
Like this
and then
was going to cost a couple $100,000 to create.
and then like be like I gotta like get hard in this plane, but like I'm gonna kick everybody out. And it's
Yeah.
clearly not like there's no point because everybody's already left. So it's like, what is he trying to mask? It's like, and then he's actually showing it to you as an audience member. It's like completely skipping the whole like ethical, like it's so multi-layered and fucking nuts. But
I need like the robot version of her in the
right,
plane.
yeah. Oh my God.
I need what is that screen called that the film
Oh
the
yeah,
volume, I think.
forget.
Uh
Okay, yeah.
I need a volume screen to create these flight simulations.
Dude, who knew the potential? Anyway, going off topic, but yeah,
Yeah.
check it out if you haven't
I'm
seen
just
it.
trying to get I don't want it to get canceled. I want people to watch it so that I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
watch it forever.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right. Anything you want to promote before we get on out of here?
Check us out on We Could Get Everything and Better Radio.
Yes, please check out We Could Get Everything. Had a new video this week. Almost done with Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I'm going to do a video on that. I'm about 100 hours in to it, coming up on the end of it. Incredible game. Probably will beat it tonight. I think it says I'm 93% done with the main story. So, and I've already gone way past the point where it's like, if you want to do any other side quests, you should probably do it now because the rest of the game is just the main quest. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty great. I can't wait to write about it. I'm gonna do a Gears of War video. Like I just played, or I'm almost done with the first one. Probably finish it tomorrow. And I've been recording the footage the whole time, and I'm gonna do like playing Gears of War in 2025, which I think is great because they just announced Gears of War 1 is gonna be on PlayStation now. Which
yeah. And
if you're playing a game and you haven't played Gears of War, highly recommend. Very fun game. Like it's crazy that you wouldn't have played it by now, but if you haven't somehow and you've only been a PlayStation person, like definitely grab that when it comes out.
yeah, yeah. That's already come out, right? The Reloaded remaster. I think.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing,
Is
the Ultimate Edition
okay,
on PC, which is great. Like it looks super good.
yeah.
It still feels like a Xbox 360 game. Like you can tell, like it's very
Right.
like on the rails, confined. I don't know if they're gonna make an even like bigger version for PlayStation or if they're going to just put the Ultimate Edition on PlayStation,
Right.
but we'll definitely see. And then yeah, I want to play some shorter games like The Order 1886, Rise Son of Rome
Yes.
before I dive headfirst into Oblivion and play that for another 100 hours.
I know. I know, man. No,
Have
but
you
I
been playing it?
yeah, I've been playing Oblivion. I'm like I kind of like put it down here and there and kind of like pick up other games because I've played it before. I played
Right. Yeah.
probably it's maybe the most I've played any other game. I think I put close to 400 hours into it back in the day,
Yeah.
and maybe actually no, I
Did
probably
you?
played more over
That
the
was a
last.
360 game, right? Like an
Yeah.
early 360 game.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
This 360 game. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm kind of like I go back and forth, but whenever I see something on Reddit where someone is like choosing the game, I'm like, oh man, now I got to try that. It's like it's just that kind of thing where it's like it's so big, which is why it was like so incredible at the time.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, it's so daunting. So sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'll play like an indie game for like 5 hours and beat that.
Yeah.
So I
No, I
get it
mean,
with
people have loved it. People have been really into
yeah.
the remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
So that's fun that it can
Yeah,
still
yeah,
capture people after all these years.
yeah, man. I hope they do Fallout either 3 or New Vegas next because I'll totally
Yeah,
buy
you would
that.
think.
Yeah, yeah.
As someone, as one of the few people I know who's actually played Morrowind, do you think they would ever remake that?
Um, it's so it's really archaic. I think like even
Yeah,
more so than even the earliest like Elder Scrolls game, like that one just doesn't age that well. They would have to really like add a lot, to make
yeah,
it work. Yeah, because even when I played it, it wasn't right when it came out. It was like kind of years after, and I just remember thinking like, okay, this is not as good as Oblivion. Yeah.
yeah. No, it's very funny because I've played a bit of Elder Scrolls Online.
Mhm.
Um, and the Morrowind area is like one of the first areas you can go to.
Oh
So
yeah.
I played in there and I was like, oh, this is sick. And then like I'd go and look at the footage of like old and
Right.
it's like, ooh, that does not look
Yeah.
like what it looks like in Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah. It's not great.
Yeah, but Elder Scrolls Online is very fun. I think it's pretty solid.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So please check us out there. Those fake nerds for nerd pop culture news. I think to make more videos on there. I've been a little sick the last like weeks where I like could barely speak. So just getting the regular podcast and like the We Could Get Everything upload was like my limit. But hopefully I'm back on my grind set, as they say, with those fake nerds and Wicked Good Sports. And then yeah, this is of course Better Radio. We have our Survivor podcast happening right now. We got Worth Fighting For, and then I think Ben and I are gonna talk about the Genius UK. I guess it's called the Genius Game in the UK, which is an adaptation of a Korean show, The Genius. First two episodes I thought were really great. It's basically like for social strategy game fans, like everything I could want from like a game where it's like every challenge is like super intensive in terms of strategy within just that challenge and how it affects everything else happening with everybody else, and then
Yeah.
you have the actual game on top of it, so it's really cool. um and Devil's Plan is also coming back, which I'm sure
Yeah.
we're going to cover because I
Excited.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Same exact thing, made by the people who made the original Genius. So same
Oh,
thing where like all the games are super layered and there's so much strategy within each round and each game, and to the point where low key a player on the first season of Devil's Plan kind of broke the format a little bit.
right.
And I
Right.
wonder if they'll do something to avoid that happening again. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, I love that show too, and I'm like so excited. I love how Netflix has all these like Korean and Japanese shows at this point.
Yes.
I'm loving it.
No, so good. All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.